and welcome to the podcast, Use Your Powers for Good. I'm your host, Carolyn Ofer Moselle, and I'm so glad that you're here. This is a podcast to inspire leaders, managers, and supervisors to use your powers for good to put more kindness into the world. Part of being a successful leader is making sure that the next generation of leaders are successful as well. So today's show is for those of you who have teenagers of your own, support teenagers through your work, or like I once did, had interns who I wanted to show, the possibilities that were there for their opportunities and to make sure that they knew all the doors that could be open for them. So today's guest is Janice Powell Walker. She is an experienced and passionate independent educational consultant with over 8 years of experience assisting 8th to 12th graders from diverse, underrepresented, and underserved communities to attend 2-year and 4-year colleges, military academies, and internships. Our company is Thee College Navigator. She is going to talk with us today about how her work supports parents and students in the college planning process and the leadership students need to be successful. Hello, Janice. Welcome, and we're so glad that you're here with us today. So tell us more about the College Navigator.
Well, first of all, thank you, Carolyn, for having me here. I am very excited to talk about being an independent educational consultant, especially since a few years ago, there was a scandal with the whole blue chip getting children into college that weren't qualified, or their parents didn't think that they were qualified enough to make it into some top universities. But I feel like independent educational consultants are very useful, particularly for parents of color or people of color. And the fact that now there is a 2-parent household, or if there is even just a 1-parent household, and that parent is just so busy working and cooking and doing other things that they really don't have the time to sit down and work with their children when it comes to the college planning process. And I like to make sure that people understand that it's the college planning process. It is a process, and that process actually begins right before the summer of high school, right before high school begins. And I think high schools are overcrowded, and you have guidance counselors that are assigned at sometimes, in particularly public schools, to over 200 children at one time. And that number can even rise up at some of the larger schools, because they usually only have about 4 to 5 college counselors on staff. So they could have responsibility for over 500 to 1,000 kids at once, and they're all graduating. And honestly, you do the math, 1 to 1,000 kids, some of those kids are going to get left behind. And particularly those are our children who are in the middle range. And 9 times out of 10, they're going to be mostly children of color. And so I am a person of color, and I started this business a few years ago when it was time for my own children to start the college planning process. And I found that I didn't know a lot of things. There was a gap, and I felt that this was an opportunity for me to fill that gap. And I just started off just working with my own children, my family members, and close friends.
That's excellent. I mean, when you put it like that, I remember when we were in high school, there were guidance counselors, and it still was like, I remember going into sessions where they brought colleges in to talk to us, but the room was full. And that was, back then, that's when the guidance counselors were actually available and active. So knowing how that is today and how different that is today, if you really want to impact the process and give your student, your child, the best possibility of getting into the school they want and getting the education that they want to get, then, I agree with you. Having someone to help you through that process is going to be very helpful and less onerous on you trying to learn how to do all that stuff yourself. So thank you for
Yes,
filling that gap.
you're more than welcome. I think also the issue is that we tend to put the ownership on the children, but we cannot do that as parents because we are going to ones that's going to have to foot the bill. So not only is my process about getting into college, there is a process of figuring out which scholarships, and those scholarships are usually going to be tied to what is the child going to major in once they get to college. And then also one of the top two things that come up over and over again is going to be community service and leadership. And if those children have leadership skills, they can get a scholarship to attend college. What colleges are looking for are students who will come into college and are willing to be the leaders of the pack. They are willing to take on the student government positions or other positions. There's so many clubs and organizations when you get on campus, they need leaders as well. It is no different than when you're in high school. And that is those opportunities where children can start to figure out, am I a leader or am I a follower? Am I a giver? Or am I somebody who cares about my community and can start a community service organization to start to give back and make a difference in their community? I always tell my students that one way of giving back to the community is just going to their local daycare facility and creating a library, because children are starting to read earlier. And the more you read, the more you learn, the quicker you learn, the quicker you're able to read and pick up things. And of course, reading then leads to spelling. Spelling leads to writing. And it is a cycle. And I think it's so important to tell children about, even you can be a member or you can take on one of those leadership positions, such as president, vice president, secretary, treasurer. Those same positions exist in colleges and also in corporate America.
Yes, that's great information. And you made me think about, especially with the going to your daycare to start a library. That's a perfect project for a kid who is not quite the clear leader, but can start to do. I feel like that's like an entry point of starting to do something to build some confidence in being a leader. And I never thought about that. So that's a great advice for the student that's kind of a little shy, but because I was shy when I was young, so that would have been a great project that I would have done, and then I would have been able to build leadership skills. So that's great. So tell me, you talked a little bit about it, but tell me what leadership means to you in the context of the work that you're doing.
So in the work that I'm doing, I do my best to, inspire my students, because my students are truly my clients. Parents just want you to know, again, you're the one footing the bill, but it's the student that is in school. It is the student that's going to go to a 2-year community college or a 4-year college or through a military academy. And the reason that you may hear me push military academies is because they pay 100% what it costs. It is like you are getting an Ivy League education through those military academies. And guess what, parents? Fear not. When they finish, they will have a job. They will be considered as a second lieutenant. They will be commissioned. They are not going to send them out to the front line to fight a war or fight our enemies to protect. They're going to be sitting behind a desk because they're going to use the knowledge that they gain in those classrooms to defeat the enemy, right? They're going to learn strategic skills. So that is why you hear me mention military academies, and particularly for parents who may not have the money to send their child to college. But one of the things I do, I recommend all of my parents, do not go into debt to send your child to college. Do not let your child take on debt to attend college. There are so many colleges that's out here. Again, you can start by just doing your basics at your local community college. That will save you thousands of dollars right there. And then if your child is getting A's, they can then transfer to any state school, any out-of-state school, any private school that they want to attend, and they will get scholarships on their own. So it's not too late. But if we are talking about it, your children have 4 years of high school, but they have to start off right, and they have to start by building bricks, just like the one of the 3 little pigs who built his house out of bricks so that the wolf could not blow it down. Those bricks equate to A's. So when I work with my students, I let them know, get A's. And then I start talking to them about, are you, musical inclined? Do you play an instrument? Do you sing? Do you play a sport, right? Or are you one of those ones who is just going to be a leader, or are you artistically inclined, meaning you're going to be a part of the play? So are you going to be the lead role? A lot of people, you never talk about that. That person who gets that lead role, the lead actress, the lead actor, guess what? Again, it's called lead for a reason.
Right.
It's leadership.
Interesting. I never thought of it that way. I know that you talked about, overall, that you have been discussing how important it is to be a leader. And you mentioned some ways that students can find leadership opportunities. So you mentioned the arts, and you mentioned, I'm still back on that library because I don't know why that just appeals to me. I don't know, but that would have been awesome. And so what other ways have you had your clients build leadership skills?
Well, also in their community. My daughter, right at the height, of course, of Black Lives Matter movement, she staged a walkout at her school. And again, not only when you talked about the confidence, that takes a lot of confidence. That takes guts to stage a walkout at your school, to let the school know how you feel about Black Lives Matter and how important it is that we embrace our diversity. My children did attend a private high school, but the reason that they attended a private high school is because I wanted them around, first of all, small classrooms. Because when children are in smaller classrooms, first of all, they're heard. Their opinions are heard. That when they raise their hand, the teacher can see them, and they give them an opportunity to say whatever it is that's on their mind. Their other peers can see and hear them, and they're not just somebody who is a number in a classroom filled with 30 or more kids. So the small classrooms was number one. Number two, I felt like, hey, I'd rather pay at the high school level than to have to pay at college. So this way they get individualized attention from their college counselors. They're not a number, and that counselor can help to find them the best college fit for them, the best college fit. There are, again, so many colleges
Mhm.
But it's important that we find the right fit for each child.
Right.
And when you find the right fit, just like a good pair of jeans, when you find the right fit, you're going to buy them jeans again, or you're going to buy multiple
Yep.
at that time, because you're like, oh my God, this is the perfect fit for
Yes.
me.
Yes.
I know y'all are laughing right now because I'm
And
talking
you're gonna
about
take
something,
care of those jeans.
yes, that we can relate to.
Mhm.
That is the same difference for our child. When they find the right college fit for them, guess what? They will thrive at that university. And, I don't mean to throw shade at the Ivy League schools, but there's so many more schools that an A student can thrive at and can
Mhm.
find themselves at the best fit for them. And it's not always in Ivy League schools or
Right.
the top schools that we hear about. There is such a thing of 40 colleges, and they are called colleges that save lives. I mean,
Mhm.
sorry, colleges that change lives,
Mhm.
ctcl.org. That is ctcl.org, colleges that change lives. And it's 40 colleges that author Lauren Pope visited each of these colleges and determined what was so special about them and why people, when they leave there, they go straight into society and are successful,
Mhm.
and that they're thriving at their jobs, or they're thriving at the company that they created. And those colleges are based on the liberal arts.
Hmm. Interesting. I never knew that that was a place to as a resource. That should be some very interesting information for people to take a look at and understand. Expand their horizons on what they know about colleges and universities to help their kids make a better choice. Now, you mentioned kids becoming leaders. So, what age do you think kids should start on the journey to becoming a leader?
I think that students should get involved the moment they step into high school. My children told me that middle school was the worst for them, was the absolute worst. And I do understand that different kids have different experiences, but guess what? It is a normal progression. The same way that we leave from elementary school to middle, we leave from middle to go to high school, we need to leave from high school to go to college. So while we are in high school, it is imperative that very first year we get involved. We get
Mhm.
involved. And guess what, students? If you're listening to this podcast as well, when you go into high school, nobody knows you unless other people are coming in there from your school as well, right? But guess what? You evolved over the summer. You changed. Maybe now you want to go by your middle name. Maybe now you want to go by your initials with your first and your last name, or your first and your middle name. You can start over. Just like at the beginning of football season, everybody is equal. The score is 0-0. There's no wins, there's no losses, but every team has probably changed their roster. They have
Right.
gotten some new recruits. They have traded out and got new players, right? They change up the position of those players. And that is why they have what's called a preseason. And
Mm.
so for the preseason, which is the summer before ninth grade begins, you come to me, I work out a plan, and we actually create a 4-year plan, a roadmap from ninth through 12th grade and into college, and getting those college acceptances. So once you get into high school, take a look around. What are you interested in? Or is it that, oh, I played an instrument when I was in middle school and I want to continue playing that instrument, so I am going to join the band? Or some schools even have a jazz band, right? Is it that you ran track when you were in middle school and now You want to run track when you're in high school. Well, continue to do that. But if you're that student who says, I really don't know what I'm going to do. I didn't have time when I was in middle school. I went to school. As soon as school was over with, I got back on the bus and I went home, right? But now you may have, circumstances may have changed for you, and now you have more time on your hand. You know, high school starts early, and when high school ends, you can find out, you can approach a teacher, and even if they don't have a club, maybe you start a club. My daughter, she started the poetry club when she was in high school. She loved poetry, and it was a way for her to express herself. And first she did it only on paper. And then once she got up the confidence to start reading her poems, and that once people told her how much they liked it, she was able to do that. So leadership also can start at home. If you're the oldest sibling, you're a leader already. So, you know, don't shy away from joining different clubs and organizations, or even starting one, because in this world, we need more brown and Black children, more minority leaders.
Yes, I agree with you. And, you know, and I love that you are helping to start that process, you know, early on, because, you know, a lot of times we don't start that process until, you know, we're either a junior or a senior in high school, or even after we get out of high school and, you know, get our first job, and then we start building leadership skills. But I think this is wonderful that you are supporting kids to build those skills early on, so that by the time they get to college, you know, they are light years of, you know, beyond where they would be otherwise. So congratulations on that. And so Janice, tell us, what makes you an expert in the area of student leadership?
Well, I will just tell you guys this. Leadership is a process of managing a diverse team who each have their own skill set and ideas, working together to solve an issue or innovate a new product. So what makes me an expert is that my son, who is a recent high school graduate, freshman at Elon University, and I want you guys to take note. I am shouting out things that I want you to go and do your research and investigate. But he is there as a leadership, as a Isabella Cannon Leadership Fellow. And that comes with a scholarship. And that means that they will nurture your child to give them different opportunities in the classroom as well as in their communities. They will introduce them to people. They will help your child to find his or her voice, so that just even small tasks where if there is a group assignment, you can become a leader. So I am in the business of finding leadership scholarships, community service scholarships, different scholarships that will make certain that students find their voice to become the leader that they are destined to be. Also, one of the things that I do is in finding there's such a thing as junior scholars. And these are opportunities for high school juniors to either get scholarships or be recognized for their service in the community as well as in the classroom. And then I don't want to take away any from anyone who works as well. I think if you have a job, you are learning community, you are learning customer service skills, you are learning how to deal with younger people, older people, you know, all people from different walks of life. And that is also leadership.
Excellent, excellent. So Janice, this is our my final question to you. So tell us, how do you put more kindness into the world?
The way I put more kindness into the world is by working with my students, that I only want the best for them. It is truly my passion, as you heard when Carolyn initially introduced me. Number one is that I want to make certain that the students are being heard, that I'm listening to them, that no matter what mom and dad or grandma or stepdad, stepmom may say, they have a voice about where it is that they want to go to college, what they want to study while they are in college. And I just think all around is just listening to those students and giving them that opportunity to be heard, and that they know that I am, again, working on their behalf tirelessly to make certain that they can attend college for less to nothing, so that when they do graduate, they are graduating debt free. And to me, I want to make sure everybody hears this. I believe that scholarships are our reparations, and at least it is a beginning to some of the reparations that this country owes to brown and Black children.
Excellent. Excellent. It's I'm always amazed at like how many scholarships there are out there. And equally as amazed that I didn't know about those when we were coming through college. So I think, again, thank you for this amazing service. And I'm hoping that um, parents and people, aunties, and people who work with kids hear this podcast and share it with those who have a kid in their life who is needs to build these leadership skills in order to go to colleges and go into high school and have a productive 4 years in high school and get the scholarships that they need to um, get their life on track and get the career that they want, start the business that they want, and come out debt free. That's a student loan debt.
It's the ultimate goal, parents.
Yes.
The other thing is that we need to start thinking about is generational wealth. And
Yeah.
generational wealth can begin with your child going to college for 4 years for free. For
Yes.
free. And I can tell you right now that all three of my children, when they graduate, they will be graduating debt free. And as my one daughter says, they are paying me to go to college.
Wow. That's I mean that in itself is enough to contact Janice and see how you could be how she can help you with making sure that your kid or the kid in your life or kids that you talk to, if you are, like I said, like I was when I was in city government, we had we were partnered with a um, um, nonprofits that had kids. And, every time a kid came through, one of my goals was to help them understand like what they were going to do when they, what they help them think about what they wanted to do and help them to research, if they, one gentleman, he thought he wanted to be a state trooper. So I said, well, do you know what that means? And to be a state trooper. And so he researched, how you have to not have a criminal record and not have good credit and not have this or not have that. And so, at least he left with a better understanding of what he needed to do in order to achieve that goal. And, it may have changed over time because he was a sophomore, I believe, in high school. So, he's still kind of young, so it may have changed, but at least he knew that he could go and research what he wanted to do and get the information he needed to so that he can take the best steps for him. And I think that's what you provide to parents and students to, the resources that they need to take the next best steps to accomplish the goals of getting into college for little or nothing and graduating debt free. That's big.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
And if I can say one more thing, Carolyn, you
Mhm.
hit the head on the you hit the nail on its head by stating research. And I can tell you guys that I have over 8 years doing research. There is not a college that you cannot name that I will not know where it's located, who's the president of that university, the mascot, whether they are in Division 1, 2, or 3, whether they have football or not. And trust me on when I say that all Division 1 schools do not have football. So that is something that I have learned in my research. But it's very important for a student to know what their deal breakers are when attending a college. So as I mentioned before, that right fit, we have to have that right fit, and that's not just in the classroom, it's also outside of the classroom. What is the social structure? Is that college campus red, or is
Mhm.
that college campus blue? Is
Mm.
it close to home or far away? Is it test optional, or are standardized tests still required? There
Mm.
are so many questions, people, and I am the expert that can help you to answer those questions, to dive through all of that red tape and information and really help you with the Common App or the Coalition applications. Those are huge. And my forte is in summer programs.
Mm.
So I want to make sure that you guys really reach out to me to hear about summer programs and getting started in the 9th grade and not waiting until the 11th grade saying, oh my God, I didn't know I would need this. I didn't know
Yeah.
college asked for this. And parents who graduated when Carol and I graduated high school 30 something years ago, it has dramatically changed. Do not base your child experience of the college planning process on the process that you went through. Things do evolve, things do change.
Yes, I am. I'm sure they have, and considering that I'm only 28, I'm not sure how you're doing this math, but we're gonna go with what you said anyway. Um,
Yes.
so tell everyone, Janice, how to reach you. If you have, I don't know if you have informational sessions, or just tell people how to reach you if they're interested in learning more about your work and working with you.
So another plug is I want to let parents know that I also do test prep. So very important. I just got finished doing my PSAT prep class. My students just took the PSAT last Wednesday. So a week ago from today, October the 13th, I'm going to be very excited to see their test scores when they come up. And so what's coming up for me on the horizon is I will be doing an SAT prep class for the June SAT as well as for the August SAT.
Mhm.
You can reach me on LinkedIn, Janice Powell Walker, and you can also reach me on Facebook. I do have a Facebook page, but again, Janice Powell Walker, and you can reach me on Twitter at Thee College Navigator, as well as Instagram at Thee College Navigator. And parents, I do work just like a cell phone bill on a monthly payment plan. And I will tell you, would you rather pay me $6,000, period, over the entire 4 years, or would you rather pay a college $40,000 a year?
Mm.
You do the math on that.
Mhm. And so for clarification, the College Navigator is THEE, College Navigator. So Janice, thank you so much for joining us today. This has been really, I'm excited, by I love knowledge, and I love like sharing information with people, especially helping people to expand beyond what they thought they knew, or things that I love opening people up to possibility. So, and I think that this conversation has done so. So I encourage, like I said again, all parents, people who know kids, care about some kids, to contact Janice and see how she can be helpful in helping the kid in your life to be successful in life. So until next time, be better today than yesterday. Be better tomorrow than today. Bye for now.
Bye.